Hello, welcome to Farming in Africa YouTube channel, your go-to channel for everything and anything livestock information. Farming in Africa actually is embarking on a very insightful and interesting project where we interact with successful urban livestock farmers who are doing great in wherever they are in the urban cities. Yes, it is a project you wouldn't want to miss even a single episode of, because the kind of knowledge and wisdom nuggets they share to show us that, hey, the real estate industry is aggressively competing with all farmers everywhere to move them into the hinterlands. But hey, there are some who are saying that we are in the city, the township or the development came to meet us, and so we are not moving. We will still make it work. And those are the people we are going to ask them, how are they still making it work? Because guys, they are making it big time. Please stay tuned. I shall be back with this very interesting introductory video with, of course, the livestock man himself, Fred, on how this project pans out. Stay tuned. Hi, Fred.
Hi, Nadia.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
I believe you have a fair idea of the project Farming in Africa has embarked on, but to open this particular discussion, I think I want to share an encounter, a particular encounter that triggered us to go on this particular project. So, you know, we've visited around a bit, we've moved around visiting farms, and one of our most recent encounters was with a very popular pig farmer, not even in Accra, in Bono region. And we visit this farmer, he tells us, oh, I need you guys to come to my new site because I have relocated my pig farm to this new place. So we follow him, drive miles to the place, and he's like, guys, the development has met the township, and so I am forced to move my entire business to somewhere far. And so we come back to Accra and it gets me thinking, almost even depressed if I'm being honest with you. And I'm like, no, what is the future of livestock farmers then? So we would embark on a project in Accra right here, the urban city, and look for successful livestock farmers and ask them how they are doing. But first of all, I'm just wondering, how does that make you feel? Because when I encountered that farmer, I felt, then what's the future of livestock farming? As we are here, if the township comes to meet us, that development, what is our future, Fred?
I think there's a lot of takeaway from this.
Okay.
Obviously, communities are always going to be developing,
Yeah.
and that is why when we are even purchasing land, the land is termed as farmland. So when you're buying a land for agriculture, the chiefs will sell it to you as a farmland, with the intention that it's cheaper, and when the community grows to you, you're being pushed further, and that's the norm. You know, when we were kids, we used to farm maybe maybe 5 miles or 8 kilometers from the town.
Yeah.
And as the town develops, we have to extend our farm, and that has been the tradition.
Yes.
When communities are built and there are fewer people in it, we farm around the community. As it expands, it moves. But we've gone through a stage where farming is no more a subsistent thing.
Yes.
It's now a business.
It's a business.
So
yes.
if we are putting infrastructure in place and we are modernizing it, then that tradition needs to change, where you can't just tell somebody to move away because, you know, houses are being built. Now, pig pens are houses.
Yes.
Goat pens are houses.
Yes, you're right.
Right? We are living in a house now, container building.
Yeah.
So I think it is something that the attention needs to be brought to public and education to our traditional chiefs and communities, that the reason why we used to do this was it was tomatoes and it was crops, and it's easy to go and farm somewhere. When it comes to livestock farming, there are investments on that property, and therefore I think education on both sides should be able to help us solve, because from the farmer side, as it's in the community, obviously you cannot inconvenience other people.
Yes,
so you need to also farm in a way that you can exist or we can coexist in the urban area. So education to the chiefs and policymakers, and then education to the farmers, knowing that where my land is located is an urban area, and therefore there are certain practices I need to do to be able to continue to stay there.
Talking about traditions, that brings back a lot of memories, especially for Sementia farms. If you know our story, you would understand why at the mere mention of tradition, you take a step back. So are you saying that this whole revolution we are looking at for livestock farmers, even in the urban areas, would start first of all with traditional changes?
Yeah, I think so, because the way our land system is in Ghana, unless it's a state land, if it's not a state land, then the land belongs to the chiefs or the traditional council, and therefore they need to make the change. They need to understand that, hey, this is why we were doing this maybe 50, 60 years ago. Now things have changed. Now it's livestock, or now it's modernized. Now infrastructures are being put in place. So how do we now proceed? You know, do we sell it to them as a state land, or do we sell it to them as a farmland?
I see.
And so on. So
Talking about the kind of farming we do, I mean, we are all in the agri sector, but we are in the animal sector of agriculture. Usually when we talk of urban farming, the minds or our first thought goes to crop farming. Because even as a kid growing up, when you hear, oh, I have a backyard farm, your mind doesn't go to a goat farm or a sheep farm. It goes to some maize, some cash crop, something.
Tomatoes.
So I want us to incorporate that whole idea of backyard animal farming into this whole revolution we are looking at. Is it even possible? Is it sustainable to have a backyard animal farm that can survive throughout the years of development as a livestock farmer?
So I think there's a difference between the backyard farming and then the urban farming. Right. So you can have an urban farm on a huge plot of land in the middle of the city, or you can have a backyard or a garden, which is on a small plot of land inside your home. Like you rightly said, mostly when we think about this backyard farming or gardening, we think about crops, tomatoes, growing small things around. But yes, I mean, again, when you talk about livestock, we are not only limiting ourselves to cows and sheep and goats. We're considering grass cutter.
Rabbit.
Exactly. Rabbit is there, snail farming, even poultry farming and all that. So if you look at those and you look at the number of rabbits you can keep on maybe even a 10 by 15 size of land, then you see that it's worth much more investing into rabbit farming than planting tomatoes on a 15 by 12 land.
I see. Well, why am I not surprised? This is an advocate for livestock farming. So let's get all the ideas. Now you are telling us the benefits or the potential in it as compared to doing a crop farming. All right, please take us away.
I mean, because you look at what is the aim? Is it for you to get a source of protein for your family, or is it for you to generate some revenue for your, and if it's so, then what am I putting in and what am I getting back? What is the return? So if I have, let's say, 10 by 10 piece of land, yes, I can plant some tomatoes or cabbage and so on. But what is going to be the volume if it's just feed for you? Or if it's revenue, what is going to be the outputs in terms of sales from that? And on that same plot of land, if I use it for snail farming, if I use it for rabbitry,
please
if
go
I
into
use
the
it,
ones we are familiar with, goats, sheep.
right, then it's like, what is the value of that? And therefore, I think people, like I said, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the agri sector, first of all, in general, to bring people's mind to it. Then secondly, in livestock, there is much more that needs to be done, so that when people think about farming, they can think about livestock as well. Because if you do the math, then at some point it makes sense to actually have livestock in that backyard than even to have tomatoes or to have vegetables. Because one of the scary things is, personally, I try my best to maybe 90% of the meat I will eat from home come from a source that I know
You trust.
and I trust,
Yeah.
right? So even based on that safety aspect of it or our health, I would rather have livestock than to have crops.
I see.
Because I know I can easily get my hands on fresh tomatoes and
Yes.
fresh pepper,
Interesting.
but I don't think I can trust the meat that is being sold in that abattoir.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
From the farmer to the cleanliness
Yes.
of that abattoir
Yes.
to the time it ends up on my table.
Yes.
So
Fair
there's
enough.
so many reasons why you should consider a livestock backyard farm than crops.
Wow, and so this actually brings me to my very, very important next point, which is scalability. We've started all this while with the backyard. We've given solid reasons why it's even more profitable than a crop farming in your backyard. And so on the issue of scalability, when we actually started to embark on this project, it was a big question I had in mind. And I couldn't wait to encounter all of these successful urban farmers and ask them how they scaled up. The very first gentleman we encountered had a very interesting answer to this question I had. And so this is actually the introduction to that project. It's going to be a series where we would show you all of these successful urban livestock farmers who are doing great right here in Accra, actually. And so I want to put Fred to the test and ask you that on the issue of scalability, how do you think an urban livestock farmer can scale up his backyard farming and make enough money as a solid business he's into? I want to get your view on it.
So if I believe if you're doing backyard farming, just like we advocate for our goats and any farming that you're doing, every land has a maximum capacity you can have and a minimum capacity that you can, right? So if you have a bigger land, you can keep more. If you have small, you can keep small. But so depending on the size of your backyard farming, I think there is a cap that
Let
you
me give
can,
you a size.
Good.
The first project, the man is doing it on a half plot of land.
A half plot
So
of
this is your foundation.
Yes.
Use this preamble to answer my question.
So if you're doing a half plot of land,
Yes.
right, and you're doing livestock.
Yeah,
I mean,
livestock, sir.
does it matter what kind of livestock you're
He's
doing?
doing sheep,
Yeah.
he's doing goats, he has some poultry.
Okay, so that's a very huge integrated livestock
Exactly.
farming at a half plot of land.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I know people combine goats and sheep together so they can survive. I know that if you're planting your feed, you can also use the drop-in from the chickens as manure to like help you have more feed on that same small plot, because for goats and sheep, they don't need a big space to live.
Okay,
So I think your limitation is going to be on the feed.
The feed,
If the remaining land, feed also grows based on nutrients. So if you have good nutrients for whatever feed you're using, you'll get it more. The more feed you have will tell you how many goats and sheep.
Actually, they admitted one of their biggest challenges is feed, because obviously the land constraints.
So that's going to be the challenge, because I mean, with a half plot, even if it's 50 by 40 feet, you can still keep a lot of goats on. I mean, building a chicken pen, if you're keeping about 200, 300 chicken there, you need at least about maybe half of that or maybe a quarter of that, and then you should be able to use the rest for feed or supplement from outside.
So what if it becomes, your farm at that point becomes overpopulated, like how ours became at a point? Then what do you do?
If your farm becomes populated, I think the straightforward answer is you sell some off.
I knew it!
I mean,
that is actually the correct answer.
You sell some off. You don't keep more than you can.
You can't, yes.
Because then what happens is they all become malnutrition.
I see.
You have 50 goats and you can only feed 20. Now you're spreading that feed over 50 goats. You end up all of them losing weight and getting sick and so on and so forth. So you keep the cap and then you sell the rest off, and then that's what you need to do.
Actually, that is exactly what the farmer also mentioned. And as we look forward to this particular series we're embarking on, I just want to state emphatically that If you think you don't have land size, so you can't do your livestock farming, or because you think you live in the urban city and you can't do that, please, this series we are going to carry you on with would show you that it is possible. No matter where you are, it is possible. We've met graduates who live even with their parents, and they've told us they've literally started their own farms. So I'm so excited for you guys to meet all of these amazing and successful livestock farmers, and I call them urban livestock farmers because of where they find themselves, and their business is booming. We would come your way and share with you all of the knowledge, the wisdom nuggets that is helping them to be successful in their farms or their businesses. I want us to wrap up this because what is in store for you have no idea. Remember, this is just the prelude to the whole series. So I would get some last words from Fred. But Fred, before that, I just want you generally to also be honest with us about some of the challenges, especially in terms of managing such number on such small plots. Yeah. It's not even about the feed, because we've already mentioned the feed. I'm thinking of waste, stench, your neighbors complaining. Remember, it's an urban city. How do you handle these issues? Then you can give us your last words. Yeah.
I think you're right. That challenge is real, and you're gonna have people come to you and say, you know, why are you doing this here, blah blah blah. Yeah. Even though everybody eats, like they say, you know, in a day we need a farmer 3 times, and we need a doctor maybe once a year. Some of us not even in 2 years, right? But everybody tends to push us away, far away, like you're talking about. I think, you know, there are a lot of innovative ways to do farming, and people just need to seek that knowledge. I mean, we are also sort of in an urban, that's a house right next to us, and we have never had a complaint about it. You know, we keep it clean, and I think they are not disturbing the farms that are next to us as well. So there are so many innovative ways that you can. So if you know that you're going to do urban farming, then do the proper research. How do you dispose your dung from the cows, the leftover feeds? And don't forget, all these can be turned back into manure and use it even into your crop farming. So find innovative ways that you can use. There is a gentleman that's actually using it to produce gas as well. So there's so many things you can do so that you don't inconvenience other people whilst doing your business. So I think that's my advice to them. In general, last I think a week or 2 ago, I was doing a video and it just occurred to me randomly the number of uncompleted buildings around us. And I think it was a discussion with students, and I was advising that most of the time when people want to go into livestock farming, they think about the lack of land. And I said, if I was to start a goat as a young man with no money, I would look into my neighborhood and found an uncompleted building. And go to the man and say, can I do my goat in your building? Till you're ready to furnish it. And in Ghana, some of these uncompleted buildings takes years. By the time the guy comes to plaster and roof it, I would have scaled up and be able to buy a land.
Actually, that's true.
And that is in an urban area.
You're right.
So
I am just so excited about this whole project because there is something you mentioned about so that you, the livestock farmer, you don't become an inconvenience to your neighbors. But Fred, actually, when we embarked on that project, I also realized that our neighbors can rather be an inconvenience. We are already terrified because we feel, hey, will the people accept us? So we are trying everything possible not to, you know, disturb anybody. But we encountered a farmer, I don't want to be giving everything out now, but let me say this. We encountered a farmer who stopped at a point rearing his guinea fowls because his neighbor's dogs were catching his guinea fowls and feasting on them. And I think for me, one of the things I also noticed with all of these urban livestock farmers is their fencing. Maybe I wouldn't even use the word fencing, but the walls they have built because they are doing it in their homes are really high. And so especially those doing poultry, they tell us, of course, it's to discourage the birds from, you know, flying out. I think I would wrap up here, else I would spill all the details for you guys. But hey, remember this discussion is an introduction to that whole project Farming in Africa has embarked on, and you really, really, really wouldn't want to miss that. And that is why, if you've not subscribed to this channel, you have to subscribe. It's our only means of communicating with you. So that anytime we bring something new, you would be the first to get it. I must also say that this particular project is not going to end anytime soon, because we would still be fishing out successful urban livestock farmers to share their story, so that all of us, now that development is meeting everybody, so everywhere is becoming urban, so that you would still be motivated and inspired to do your livestock farming business. Any last words for the people?
No, I think don't let the land be a discourage to you. Like I started from my home as well. When I started the goat farm, it was in my home as well. So yeah, I'm excited for this project, and I'm hoping that we could even take it beyond Ghana and visit more urban farmers across Africa. And I hope people will definitely be inspired to take the action and make their dreams a reality.
Make your dreams a reality. I'm not going to add anything else to it. On that note, it is all out from the entire Farming in Africa team. To you, it is bye-bye for now.